गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन भज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनिधारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन भज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनिधारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Jaya Gauranika, Jaya Gauranika, Jaya Gauranika, Jaya Gauranika. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Okay, we'll start with the prayers. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamanyam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we'll continue with our Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't know. It's on. Hare Krishna. Better? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we have 4 verses to cover today, and we'll start with reading the verses, Sanskrit and the translation. So 115:34. Yayarad bhavo bharam tam tanum vijaha ajaha kantakam kantake neva dvayam chapishitu samam. The Supreme Unborn Lord Shri Krishna caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies, and thus he relieved the burden of the world. This action was like picking out a thorn with a thorn, though both are same to the controller. Verse 35. Yatha matsyadi rupani dhatte jayad yatha nata bhubharash shapito yena jajav takcha kalevaram. The Supreme Lord relinquished the body which he manifested to diminish the burden of the earth. Just like a magician, he relinquishes one body to accept different ones, like the fish incarnation and others. Verse 36. Yada mukundo bhagavani mamahi jahau swatanva shravaniya satkatah tada har eva pratibuddha chetasam abhadra hetu kalit anvavartata. When the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, left this earthly planet in his self-same form, from that very day, Kali, who had already partially appeared, became fully manifest to create inauspicious conditions for those who are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Verse 37. Yudhishtiras tat parisharpanam buddhaha pure cha rashtre च ग्रहे तथात्मनि विभावया लोभांतरा जीमा हिंसनादे अधर्मचक्रम गमनाया पर्यदात. Maharaj Yudhishthira was intelligent enough to understand the influence of the age of Kali, characterized by increasing avarice, falsehood, cheating, and violence throughout the capital state, home, and among individuals. So he wisely prepared himself to leave home and he dressed accordingly. So this chapter is titled The Pandavas Retired Timely. So we have been reading that Arjuna has come back from Dwarka, and in the middle he was attacked by the cowherd men, and they took away the wives of Krishna. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking a lot of questions to Arjuna. And these verses are said by Sutta Goswami. So the first verse, 34, it talks about how the Maushala Lila, this is explained in the Canto 11. It's the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. It's elaborately explained in the 11th canto. Now Krishna had a big family, he married 16,108 wives, and each wife he had 10 sons, and from each of the sons they further had 10 sons. So he had a very big family. And there are several reasons for the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. It was sanctioned by Krishna. Everything is sanctioned by Krishna. He is cause of all causes, as Brahma Samhita says. So it is described how some Yadus, this is the first reason, how some Yadus had become puffed up and arrogant, thinking that, they belong to the family of Krishna. When somebody has some opulence, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruti, Shri, then naturally some pride comes in them. And even in the family of Krishna, the Yadus developed some pride, and they became whimsical. They became deviated from Krishna's instruction, and Krishna was thinking that if these members of my family, they are so powerful, if they create they are so powerful, they deviate and they will create so much disturbance in the material world. So Krishna, he is impartial. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyasti na priya. Krishna is impartial. He is not envious of anyone. He is equal to everyone. He says in Bhagavad Gita, to his own family also, he wanted to punish his own sons because they became puffed up, arrogant. So that's one thing, one reason for destruction of the Yadu dynasty. And another reason Jiva Goswami gives is that all the family members of Krishna, they are eternal associates of Krishna coming from the spiritual world. So when Krishna comes for his pastimes in the material world, all his associates, demigods and other Nitya Siddhas also come to the material world. And then, so when Krishna was to leave, now it was time for Krishna to disappear from the material world. So he was thinking that these um, family members of mine, they will be a lot disturbed. They will be in very agitated state because I have left the material world, and they might trample the whole world and destroy the earth because they are in a disturbed state. So let me take them also back with me to the spiritual world as Krishna is going back. So that was another reason he wanted to take back all his associates back to the spiritual world. And then another thing is that the family of Krishna is so powerful that no outside source can destroy them. So the only way that they could be destroyed is if they had a fight within. So Krishna planned for Yadus to kill each other and destroy within. And so it's a lesson for us that um, that if we fight amongst ourselves, then no matter how strong we are, how powerful we are, we might be from the family of Yadus, but still will be destroyed. Like Srila Prabhupada said, the ISKCON is so powerful that no outside source can destroy this movement. It will continue only if there is a quarrel within the devotees. If the devotees fight, then this movement can be stopped. And so he said, his last words were, if you have love for me, your love for me will be shown by how well you cooperate with each other. So when we practice Krishna consciousness together, we have strength. We support each other. And there is a story of that farmer who had 5 sons, and he asked the sons to bring one stick, and he could break the stick easily. But if the 5 sticks were combined together, then it was very hard to break them. So the strength is in the association. We continue together as devotees. We practice Krishna consciousness. We support each other. We encourage each other. We don't criticize each other. In that way, we'll all move ahead together. If we walk alone, we can run fast, but if we walk together, we'll run much farther. One quote I heard from Sutapa Prabhu. So there is a nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, "Parasparanu kathanam pavanam bhagavad yasha mithoratir mithotushtir nimritar mitharatmana." This verse says that we should learn how to associate with the devotees by gathering with them and chanting the glories of the Lord. And when the devotees, they encourage one another, they develop loving friendship with one another, then they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. In that way, they are able to give up all material sense gratification, and which is the cause of all suffering. So when we encourage one another, in that way we can give up all our anarthas and desire for material sense gratification. That's why Nectar of Instruction says that we need to develop loving, strong friendships with the devotees. Dadati pratigranati guhyam akhiti prachiti bhujante bhungte bhojayate cheva sadvidhi priti lakshanam. So these are the 6 symptoms of loving friendship that we can have with the devotees: by offering gifts to them, receiving gifts from them, offering them prasad, receiving prasad from them, and revealing our mind to them and inquiring confidentially from them. So we should do that with devotees, so that we develop our loving friendship and encourage one another, motivate one another to progress in Krishna consciousness. Another lesson that we can learn from this Leela is that Krishna is teaching us that everything is subject to destruction in this world. So we can be a Yadava living in a opulent city of Dwarka. We might be so powerful, but everything is nashvam. Everything anityam asukham lokam, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. It's temporary world full of misery. So they trust no future, however pleasant, that. So we can see that, Yadavas, suddenly this happened one day. Suddenly everything, they were living in such a nice situation, you know but yeah, so in Dwarka, actually what happened is Krishna asked all of them to leave Dwarka and go to Prabhas Kshetra, because Dwarka is a very holy land of pilgrimage. This inauspicious event of Yadavas fighting with each other should not have happened there. So he asked all of them, Krishna was seeing some inauspicious signs, so he asked them to go to the Prabhas Kshetra, and there we know that they started drinking. They started drinking wine from putrefied rice, and they got intoxicated like that. So this happened all of a sudden. Now we can see that, even in current situation, we can see the situation with Ukraine. All of a sudden, like, people were living comfortably in their nice houses with all their hard work. They had built their nice house, a lot of bank balance, but one day there were bombs dropping on them, and then they had to leave everything and go to a new place, and they became refugees, pretty much, like beggars, and they had to start with doing menial jobs. So, like, totally things changed in one day. So this can happen with us. uh, we can't say that tomorrow we'll have the same opportunity that we have today. Things can change, accidents, diseases, nuclear war can start over here as well. I don't watch the news, but again, when bombs can drop and we have to leave things that. So what we can do is, like, what we have is today, and what we have is right now. We should dedicate, become fully surrendered to Krishna, and follow the instructions of Krishna properly, so that, when difficult times come, we are prepared. Like, it says that more you sweat during peace, less you will bleed during war. So this peaceful situation is is there for us to become more serious, so that when difficult situations come and we don't lose our faith on Krishna, we continue with our bhakti practices. We keep the goal of our life, which is to go back home, back to Godhead, to develop pure love for Krishna, right in front of us, even during the difficult situations. And this whole world is compared to a forest, and then, like, forest fire happens automatically. No one goes, like Prabhupada says, no one goes to the forest to put fire in the forest. There's, like, friction of the bamboos happen, and then forest fire starts automatically. So that forest fire can happen within our life, and at any time there can be misunderstanding, relationships can break, because right now, as we will see, that when Krishna left, Kali Yuga has begun. And so, a lot of people have a very big false ego. Here, the Yadavas, they started fighting with each other because of false ego, puffed up false ego, and anger, and, lust, anger, and greed are three gates to hell, three vidam narkeshana. So, like that, fights and, can happen at any time. So we should utilize the good times to move closer to Krishna, so that during the bad times we are prepared to fight with Maya. And Srila Prabhupada said that we should expect calamity at every moment. So if calamity happens, then we will be prepared. But if the calamity does not happen, we'll be very grateful. So we should think that, that Srimad Bhagavatam says, Padam Padam Yad Vipadam. There is danger at every step. So we should expect that. We should have proper expectation of the material world. And we should surrender to Krishna. And one devotee was saying, surrender to Krishna, just with two words. It means no complaints and no demands. Krishna, I don't have any complaints. I understand that things that happen to me in my life are from my own karma, and because I'm a devotee, you have been merciful to me. You have minimized my suffering. I was bound to suffer much more, but you have minimized my suffering. And so I'm very grateful to you. So that's the verse. Tatte anukampam susumikshumana bhunjanai vatma kritam vitakam ridvag vipurbir vidadan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadayabhag. So in that way, the devotee becomes grateful, remains grateful even during the difficult times, and then he becomes the heir of Krishna's kingdom. So, and then, Prabhupada says that we should have a pessimistic view of life. He says that Unless we have a pessimistic view of material life, considering the distresses of birth, death, old age, and disease, there is no impetus from our making advancement in spiritual life. So we should talk about the distresses of birth, death, old age, and disease, and the suffering of this material world every single day. Now, some people think that, oh, it's very pessimistic. No, that's reality. Reality of the material. We need to be realistic. The mind tells us so many things of, there's so much to enjoy in the material world. Relax, and right now you have time, you can do this later, you can become serious later, but that's illusion. That's illusion. The reality is that we don't have much time. Things can change at any time, like in the case of Yadavas. Also, things changed in a single day. Everything changed. And yeah, so Prabhupada was talking about plan making. If you want to make Krishna laugh, yesterday we were hearing, tell Krishna your plans. Hmm. What can we plan? Our only plan should be, how can I progress in bhakti? Material plans, all of them will fail in due course of time. And Krishna also says he comes as death, mrityu sarvaharescham, and takes away everything, whatever we have accumulated. So we should not make material plans to enjoy in the material world because we are in a prison cell, and thinking about like making our prison cell more beautiful and comfortable. If somebody prisoner says, oh, I don't like the paint on my wall, prison wall, I don't like my bed, it's not soft enough, you'll consider that prisoner foolish. The prisoner should think about how to leave this prison and go in that place where there is eternal happiness and enjoyment. That's the spiritual world. So this is a prison cell, and we already have fire in our house, and we should think about running out, not staying comfortably within that fire. So that one verse is there, तस्यैव हेतु प्रेतेत कोविदो न लभ्यते यद भ्रमताम उपरि यदा तल लभ्यते दुःखवाद अन्यथा सुखम कालेना सर्वत्र गभीर रमहसा. So this verse is saying that those who are Kovida, those who are intelligent, they should strive only for that end which they have not achieved, even by going up and down from Brahmalok to the Patal Lok. And what is that? Self-realization, Krishna consciousness, surrendering to Krishna. Because it says that happiness can be obtained automatically, just as distress comes automatically. Like we were saying that there is in the forest, nobody goes to set fire in the forest, it happens automatically. In the same way, distress comes in our life automatically. So like that, happiness will also come automatically. We should not endeavor for happiness. And Prahlad Maharaj says the conditions of our distress begins as soon as we start to endeavor for happiness. So we should not endeavor for happiness. Actual happiness is only in bhakti, and that happiness in bhakti, satisfaction in bhakti can be obtained when we are unconditional, when we are not looking for happiness. So Krishna, I'm not looking for taste, I'm not looking for happiness in Krishna consciousness. I want to unconditionally serve Krishna. Savai pamsam paro dharma yato bhakti vadokshije ahetu ki prati hata ye atma si prasidhati. So we can feel that satisfaction and bliss in bhakti only if we do our services unconditionally for Krishna and uninterruptedly. So, and then we'll move on to other lessons. Another lesson that we can learn from this Maushala Leela, destruction of the Yadavas, is that how did it all start? It started with the curse of the Brahmanas, because there were some children, Samba and some other Yadav children, who approached some Brahmanas like Narad Muni, Durvasa Muni, and they made fun of the Brahmanas. They dressed up Samba as a pregnant woman, and they asked the Brahmanas, what is she going to deliver? And then the Brahmana says, she's going to deliver a club that will destroy your entire race, destroy the entire Yadava. So that was a curse of the sages. So then the Yadavas, when they received this curse, they became very frightened and they ran to Ugrasen. And Ugrasen said, and they lifted actually the cloth of Samba, and there was a club there. And so Ugrasen asked this club to be put into powder, made it turn into powder, and this powder was thrown to the ocean. There was one piece of it was remaining, a small lump of it remained, like an iron lump remained, and in the ocean, a fish swallowed this iron lump. And then all the powder also accumulated on the sides of the ocean, and all this powder developed into canes, sharp canes. And this fish that swallowed the lump, um, fishermen caught the fish, and then hunter Jara made the arrow, and this arrow was used to was thrown on Krishna's big foot. So these canes, I was reading Canto 11, and it's mentioned that how these canes that came, this powder that developed into these canes, when the Yadavas, they were fighting with each other with the weapons, they took these canes, and as soon as they took these canes turned into sharp weapons and like thunderbolts. Yeah, they were so intoxicated that they were attacking each other, and then um, Krishna came to stop them. Krishna and Balram came to stop them, to stop fighting with one another, and they started attacking Krishna. See how anger and intoxication can cause delusion and total bewilderment and loss of intelligence. That verse is it. Dhyato vishan pumsa sangat tesopajayat sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate krodhat bhavati samoha samohat samriti vibhramaha vib, hmm? Buddhi nashat pranashyati. So this anger can lead to delusion of memory, bewilderment of memory, and loss of intelligence, and fall down in the material life. So this is what happened. They became intoxicated, they became angry, and now Krishna is asking them to stop. Then they're attacking Krishna. They attacked Balram, and then Krishna and Balram also took those canes and they started killing others with the club. So it was a violent scene. Everybody was indiscriminately. They were saying, "These are my family members. These are my brothers." No, they didn't care about that. And then, so that after the destruction of the Yadavas, Krishna went back. He went to the Prabhas Kshetra, and under a tree, under a people tree, he was sitting with his left leg on the right thigh, and his feet are reddish in color. And this hunter Jara, he thought of looking at the reddish feet of Krishna. He thought of that as a deer's face, and he threw his arrow to the feet of Krishna. So, so this hunter Jara was actually Bhrigu Muni. It's mentioned one of the purport by Prabhupada. He was Bhrigu Muni from previous life. We know that Bhrigu Muni wanted to understand who is the Supreme Lord, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he went to Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. To Brahma, he neglected him. When Brahma greeted him, he neglected him. To Shiva, he made a verbal offense, and to Vishnu, he made a physical offense. He put his feet on the chest of the Lord, and the Lord was like, "Oh, my chest is very hard. Your feet is very soft. Is your feet hurt?" So with that response from Vishnu, he understood that this is the Supreme Lord, because he is above the modes. He didn't become angry at me. But this offense of Brigumuni to the hitting the Lord on his chest, that caused him to go down to a degraded birth of being a hunter. And but the Lord, he doesn't like his devotees to suffer. So as soon as Jara understood that he had hit the Lord with his arrow, the Lord said, "Don't feel remorse. You are my devotee from a previous life, and you go back to the spiritual world." As soon as that happened, Vaikuntha plane came, and Jara went back. Srimad Bhagavatam says, to the spiritual world. So so like that, this all started with the curse of the Brahmana, Vaishnava Prad. Krishna is teaching from this Leela how grave is Vaishnava Prad. So many pastimes are there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. How Gopal Chakravarti, he offended Haridas Thakur, and he got leprosy, his nose fell off. Gopal Chapal offended Srivas Thakur. Ramachandra Khan, he sent prostitute to Haridas Thakur, and his entire family got destroyed. Muslims attacked his home, and his family got destroyed. Sachi Mata had made an offense to Advaita Acharya only in her mind, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not giving her mercy. So like that, a lot of pastimes are there where Krishna is trying to teach us that don't make Vaishnava prad. We should have a healthy fear that if we offend Vaishnavas, we cannot get love for Krishna. We can fall down. We can lose our taste in bhakti, lose our taste in chanting the holy name. So We should be very careful in all our dealings with Vaishnavas, and we should, contrary to being, criticizing or hurting them, we should always glorify them and appreciate them. That's the way of Vaikuntha thinking, Prabhupada says. In Vaikuntha, everybody is appreciating one another of their service. So we should encourage them, move them one step closer to Krishna, make them happy, help them in their services, like that. And Krishna is also very pleased. So, Vaishnava Aparadh, what it means to be doing a Vaishnava Aparadh, there are six types of Vaishnava Aparadh as mentioned by Jiva Goswami. One is to kill a Vaishnava, a horrible offense. One is to blaspheme, criticize a Vaishnava. One is upon seeing a Vaishnava, you do not offer obeisances. So we should mentally offer obeisances to those who are chanting the holy name. We should offer humble obeisances to those who are doing deity worship, who have diksha, and we should, associate with and faithfully serve those pure devotees who are devoid of any propensity to criticize others, who have taken, undeviated devotional service, path of undeviated devotional service, like that nectar of instruction verse is there. So we should offer, even in our mind, we should offer obeisances to the devotees. And another offense is to become angry at a Vaishnava. So even in our mind, we should not become angry, because whatever is there in our mind, automatically it comes out from our mouth. So we say that in Kali Yuga, the offenses in the mind is not considered. But actually, whatever we think in the mind, dhyato vishyan pumsam, whatever we are meditating on, that's what we will do ultimately. That's what will come out our tongue. So we should not become angry. Then the fifth one is, upon seeing a Vaishnav, we don't feel delighted. We don't feel happy. That's also an offense. So we should feel delighted in seeing Vaishnavas. And Dveshti, one who thinks ill of or become envious of Vaishnavas. That was also an offense. So if somebody is progressing higher in Krishna consciousness, advancing much more, we should actually feel very happy. If they become advanced, by their association, we'll also become advanced. So there is no point of envy to devotees. We should help support them, encourage them in their services to Krishna, like that. So that's one lesson from this Leela. Another thing that we can see is that actually this thing happened because Gandhari had cursed Krishna. So at the end of, when all the Kauravas were killed, Gandhari told Krishna, it's all because of you. Just like how all my family members are killed, your family members would also be killed. Now, who can curse Krishna? But Gandhari had the power to curse Krishna because she was a chaste woman. She was a chaste wife. Like she had blindfolded herself because her husband was blind. She blindfolded herself. She said, I don't want to enjoy this world. What I don't want to be better than my husband. So because of that chastity in her, she had that power. Also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the last chapter of Antalila, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and he's talking about a chaste woman, how much power she had. Like she had a leper husband, and her husband wanted to associate with a prostitute. So this wife, because she was chaste, she said, "Okay, I'll take you to the prostitute," and she carried the husband on a cart. She had to carry her husband because he couldn't walk. So she went to the prostitute, and while she was doing this, her husband's heart changed and said, "Oh, my wife is so surrendered, submissive to me that she is willing to do even this abominable thing for me." So that he said, "Okay, let us go back. I don't want to associate with this prostitute. Let us go back." And while they were going back, um, her husband's leg touched Markandeya Rishi. He was doing some tapasya, and this Markandeya Rishi became very angry that you have disturbed me in my meditation. When the sun rises tomorrow morning, you will die. So when he got this curse, his wife, she was a very chaste woman and she had power. And Radharani is saying that, chastity has so much power that the woman said, "You said that my husband is going to die at sunrise tomorrow. Let there be no sunrise tomorrow." And there was no sunrise. And then Brahmaji and Vishnu and Shivaji, they came to that woman and said that, "Please, how can there be no sunrise? The material world, this all would end if there would be no sunrise. So let there be sunrise." your husband will die, but we will revive him as soon as he dies. So like that, this story is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So like that, Gandhari had a lot of power because of her chastity, but she used her powers incorrectly. Like one time she opened her eyes and she asked Duryodhan to come all naked, and so that his body becomes like vajra, like hard like stone, so that he would not be defeated in the club fighting with Bhima. But Krishna had a plan, and he somehow asked Duryodhan to not cover the lower part of his body, so that stayed weak. So yeah, she used that power incorrectly over there, and here too she is using her power incorrectly by cursing Krishna. So yeah, we should not curse anyone, and that too cursing Krishna. But Krishna took that curse because it was all his plan to take all his associates back home, back to Godhead. That's one a lesson. And another lesson is that Krishna is teaching us that if we become intoxicated with wine, that's one of the four regulative principles that Prabhupada has. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. No intoxication, not even tea and coffee, because that bewilders our mind. We lose control of over our senses and our mind, and then we can do so many these things, like fighting with one another, and that can lead to our degradation, loss of intelligence. Prabhupada gives the example of Nal Kuvera and Manigriva. They were also intoxicated by wine, intoxicated by pride because of being sons of Kuvera, the god, the demigod of wealth. So, and they became intoxicated. They disrespected Narad Muni, and that led them to the curse, like that. So, following the four regulative principles. Prabhupada says if you follow just four regulative principles and you chant the minimum of 16 rounds, you will definitely go back home, back to Godhead. So if we really have our best interest in mind, Nate Vidhu Swartha Gati Mehi Vishnu. If we know our best interest in mind, we should try to follow the four regulative principles. Nobody is watching us. Actually, Krishna is watching us. We ourselves watching us. So we know where we are. So then in this verse, Krishna gives the example of removing a thorn from a thorn. So Prabhupada talks about, the asuras and the demigods. For the Supreme Lord, the asuras and demigods are equal. The demigods, they are obedient. Why they are called demigods? Because they are obedient to the instructions of the Lord. The asuras, they are not obedient. But both are sons of the Lord. So Krishna, he does all good to everyone. And one thorn which is pricking the Lord is giving some trouble to the Lord. The other thorn can be used to remove that thorn, right? But the Lord is equal to everyone. So whatever the Lord does is for our good. We should have that faith. Whatever is sanctioned by Krishna, whatever has happened in my life is sanctioned by Krishna, and it is for my good. Let me use that, whatever has happened, to move closer to Krishna, like that. And then another thing is that these demons and demigods. So, like in the Satya Yuga, the demons and demigods, they used to reside in different planets. In the Treta Yuga, they used to reside in different countries, right? In Dwapar Yuga, they used to reside in the same family, like Kauravas and Pandavas. They were in the same family. But in Kali Yuga, the demons and the demigods, they reside within us. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful incarnation that he doesn't kill the demons, he kills our demoniac tendencies by the weapon of the holy name. So this verse is a Krishna Varanam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yatra Sankirtane Praya Yajanti Yagna Sankirtane Praya Yajanti Sumedasha. So Sumedasha, those who are intelligent, they worship this incarnation of Krishna, who Krishna Varanam, who is always singing the glories of Krishna, singing the name of Krishna, but he is Tvisha Krishna. He does not have the same complexion as Krishna. And Sango Pangastra Parshadam, he has come with his Parshad, his companions, and with his Astra. Astra, there are two Astra that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has. He has the weapon of the holy name and also the weapon of his beauty, that he influences others, and he kills the demoniac tendencies within us, like Jagai and Madai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not kill them. He killed their demoniac tendencies. All the anarthas within them, they became pure devotees with the chanting of the holy name. Mrigari, who was a demoniac, hunter, and Valmiki Muni used to rob people, kill them. He also became a pure devotee just by chanting the holy name. So we should have faith and in the holy name of Krishna. So, so this was verse 34. Quickly moving on to the verse 35. And see, let me read that translation again. Sure.
So, uh, so why is it everything is so holy only when Krishna is there, and then when Krishna is about to leave, he has to destroy everything and all the injustice is happening. Even Yudhishthira is feeling that, right? So why is that case, right? Because if Krishna is there, then his uh, the benefits of having Krishna has to last for some more time before that dissipates, right? So here, based on this, it suddenly happens, right? Like Krishna knows that I'm going to leave and my family is going to become arrogant and they're going to destroy this world. So I need to destroy them before I go. So why is it? We say holy name of Krishna is saved, right? So, but is that presence of Krishna more powerful than the holy name? That's the question I have in my mind. So,
Actually, I have addition to that question is that Krishna says that he comes to re-establish the religion, right? And then he re-established the religion, but then how long did it last? Like as soon as Krishna leaves, Yudhishthir Maharaj sees all the bad omens, inauspiciousness, things are just going haywire everywhere. There are fights. So how long this dharma Krishna re-established for?
Yeah, so we will talk about that. Actually, Kali Yuga has not manifested full force because there is chanting of the holy name. Kali Kale Naam Rupe Krishna Avatar Naam Hoite Hoye Sarva Jagat Nisal. Krishna is still there in this material world in the form of his holy name. ISKCON movement is going to continue for 10,000 years, and we are not seeing the bad effects of Kali Yuga as long as we are following the four regulative principles. Because Kali stays in the four places, right? Four places where there is gambling, intoxication, illicit relationship, and um, meat eating happening, right? So those four places Kali resides, and where there is hoarding of the wealth also. Those five places, Kali will come to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Yudhishthira Maharaj will let her stay in those five places. But as long as we are following the four regulative principles, we are chanting the holy name, we are associated with Krishna, because that's non different from Krishna. So we are not receiving the bad effects of Kali Yuga, especially the devotees. The non-devotees, they are, because they're not they're not in association of Krishna. Yeah, but we are in a golden period, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just came 500 years ago. Krishna, he left, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago, and he's still here in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the form of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita. That verse is also there. What is that? Krishna Sodhama Pagate Dharma Gyani Vidisa Kalaunasta Dashamesha Puranarko Danudita. So those people who they will get light from this Srimad Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun, and it emerged right after the disappearance of Krishna to give light to those who are ignorant and who are in this age of Kali Yuga, who are blinded by ignorance in this age of Kali Yuga. So Krishna has not left. He is enacting this pastime. He left his material body, like we heard, but it's his pastime, so that people develop some emotions for him, love for him. Oh, Krishna left. Like Arjuna is feeling separation from Krishna. That's a way of remembering Krishna. Like gopis, they're remembering Krishna. Krishna left Vrindavan Dham. He is enacting this pastime, but Krishna has not left. He's right here in the form of a deity, right? And pure devotees carry Krishna within their heart. They turn all places into place of pilgrimage. So Krishna has not left. And this pastime of Yadu dynasty destruction is also a lesson for us. So like all the lessons that we heard, that even though you are from the family of Krishna, if you become proud and um, puffed up, then you are bound to uh, be destroyed, right? And if you do Vaishnava prad, you will be destroyed, like that. So Krishna is teaching us a lesson from this pastime, and all of these associates are going back home, back to Godhead. This all is sanctioned by Krishna. So we can't say that something inauspicious happened. No, nothing can be inauspicious because it's sanctioned by Krishna. Does it answer your question? Okay.
So another thing is that said that we haven't seen it to look at self, and especially for devotees, not below self.
Correct.
But at the same time, the cellular symptoms are foreign in people,
Correct.
but we sometimes see. So that means they are like we those who experience they are not below, and because they are at the end of the day, there are many who follow the regular campaign in now.
Mm.
Still running to foreign people.
Mm.
It's not like, oh, this is some transcendental following.
Yeah.
People sometimes put that label and then
Hmm.
hide the.
Correct. Right. So तभी हरे नाम एव केवलम कलौ नास्ते नास्ते व गतिरन्यथा. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that should do Harinam Sankirtan all the time. Kirtaniya Sadahari. All the time. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there is no way of liberation other than chanting the holy name. So, I mean, again, devotees are from all different stages, right? Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari. So we all have anarthas. We're all in a hospital. We're all diseased. We have disease. We're getting better. But as we keep on hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we keep chanting the holy name. We are trying to be purified, and we are realizing the anarthas within us. We are trying to avoid Vaishnava Prad, trying to avoid quarreling with anyone. So yeah, that would happen. But again, it's because of our anarthas. We're not totally pure yet. So that's why we need to keep in the association of Krishna, association of pure devotees. So avoiding the quarrel and hypocrisy. Hypocrisy means we're trying to show some things that we are not. So ultimately, Krishna knows what we are, and we will get what is it at the time of death. We bhajan karo, sadhan karo, marte jaan lahu. We are we will be tested at the time of death. So we can't imitate. We are a pure devotee. Whatever is within us will come out. Like the parrot when it's held onto its neck, it doesn't chant. Even if it's um, trained to chant Hare Krishna, it would not chant Hare Krishna. It will chant cow, cow, right? So in the same way, we should internalize. We should see. Ultimately, भारत भूमि ते होले जन्म सार्थक करी करो परोपकार. Janam Sarthakari. We should make our life successful first by chanting the holy name. Everything that we do is first for our purification and then for preaching. So we can't preach unless we are pure, right? So everything that we do is for our purification. So that we should focus on that, and whatever we are, we can tell others, so we can get some feedback, not be hypocritical that we are showing ourselves something that we are not. And we should be having a healthy fear of Vaishnava Pran, we said. So in that way, we should avoid quarreling. Stay in the mode of goodness or beyond in Krishna consciousness. So the anger, lust, and greed, these three things that are gates to hell, they don't impact us. So many things we were talking about, how the food that we eat, the things that we see, people that we talk to, all of that has impact on the modes that we are on. If we are associating with those who are materialistic, who become angry, they have bad qualities, we'll get those qualities and we'll become angry, short tempered. And if we are satisfied in bhakti, then no matter what anybody says to us, we will not mind, right? We know that we our mind is fixed on our goal to get Krishna. So no matter what anybody does, we know that, if, let's say, yeah, some devotee was giving an example. If you have a very important meeting in the office, while going on the road, some person cuts you on the lane, you will not become angry at that person and get into a uh, fight with that person. You come out and let's talk about it. No, you know that you want to get to that, to your important meeting in the office, right? That is something that you can't miss. So you will avoid, I don't want to get angry at this person. I just want to get to my office, my meeting. So in the same way, our goal is to go back home, back to Godhead, to become a pure devotee. Whatever others are doing, I don't want to get into that. Like, I don't want to be impacted by that. My goal is fixed. So keeping that goal in mind, and that happens when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam every single day from devotees. We we repeat again and again that this is why I'm here for. That's the goal of my life. All of this is temporary. nothing that I will take with me. I don't want any, na dhanam sundaram kavitam va jagadishkam mama janmani janmanishwari bhavatat bhakti. Only I want to serve Krishna unconditionally. I don't want anything else. So when we don't desire sense gratification, then we are not envious of others. We are envious of others because we desire sense gratification. Like if they are being praised more than us, or if they have more material things than us, then enviousness would come, and from envy comes anger and quarrel, and a desire for name, fame, prestige. All of that comes because of desire for sense gratification. So, but if we are satisfied in our bhakti, we don't desire any sense gratification, we will not be envious of others. Then, there is no point of quarreling. We'll be helping each other. Yeah. Okay. So, then verse 35. The Supreme Lord relinquished the body which he manifested to diminish the burden of the earth. Just like a magician, he relinquished one body to accept different ones, like the fish incarnation. So we were saying that how Krishna's body is not different from his soul. He is Satchidananda, but he is leaving behind his body so that the devotees, they become emotional, they develop love for him. So many things Krishna does like an ordinary child, like in this Damodar Leela, we see Krishna when he does not find butter in the house of the gopis, he does stool and urine all over the house. Now, there is no stool and urine in him, but he passes that just to invoke, love from his devotees, and his sweetness, his side of sweetness he wants to. And then in the Mahabharat war, when Bhishma was throwing arrows at Krishna, his blood was coming out. And Arjuna became very emotional, and he held on to the lotus feet of Krishna. Don't stop, don't run towards him. Like that, Krishna does these things like an ordinary person, so that devotees develop love for him, emotions for him. He wants that because ultimately he's a person. We need to develop emotions for Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to cry for Krishna, like Radharani and all the gopis. They are crying when Krishna has left for Mathura, and uh, they're thinking, oh, I will never see Krishna again. The same way here, Krishna has left behind the body, and Uddhav and Vidura and so many devotees who are there, they're crying for Krishna. Krishna has left. Actually, he has not left, right? He's there as Paramatma within us, and as we said, Bhagavatam, holy name. But Krishna is leaving us to develop emotions within us. He wants to develop emotions. Okay, so then we'll move on to the next verse, which talks about the Kali's appearance. We discussed briefly. When the personality of Godhead Lord Krishna left this earthly planet, that very day, Kali, who had already partially appeared, became fully manifest to create inauspicious conditions. So Krishna never left. He is still there in his holy. Aho aho bir na kaler vidyate sudha sudhara maduram pade pade dine dine chandan chandra sheetalam yasho yashoda taniyase giyate. This verse says that one who daily sings the glories of Yashoda's son Krishna, for him it's as cooling as sandalwood and camphor. He is not troubled by the days of Kali Yuga. For him, at every step there is a shower of nectar, sweetest nectar. So for the devotees, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. This world is very joyful. Whether the devotee stays in the material world or goes to the spiritual world, it does not matter. He is doing service here, doing service there, and Krishna will totally protect him from all the ill effects of Kali Yuga, because he is always associating with Krishna, chanting the holy name of Krishna. And we talked about the 4 regulative principles, how Kali stays in those places. We have the 4 legs of Dharma. 4 legs of Dharma are what? Truthfulness, austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. So austerity, the leg of Dharma, is destroyed when we do intoxication. Cleanliness is destroyed when we engage in illicit sex. Mercy is destroyed when we do meat eating, and truthfulness is destroyed when we do gambling. So, yeah, if we want to maintain the dharma rakshashiti, dharma rakshiti dharma. Like there is a verse that Whoever protects dharma, dharma protects them. Dharmo rakshita dharma. I don't know. Some verses there. Whoever protects dharma, dharma protects them. So Krishna says that I am going to protect you. Kante pratijani nama bhakta pradashiti sarva dharman pratyajya mam ekam sharanam vraj aham tvam sarva pape vinokshashima ascha. That Krishna would do if he protect dharma. If he maintain these four legs of dharma, then Krishna has given us assurance that he will protect us from all bad effects of Kali Yuga. That we will not receive any uh, we will not yeah any effects of our of Kali Yuga. We will not perceive that. And Kalaha Lati iti Kali, like you were saying that Kalaha is the Kalaha, yeah, it's quarrel and hypocrisy. That's the age of Kali Yuga. And another symptom of this Kali Yuga verse says Prayana Alpaisha Sabya Kalavasmin Yuge Jana Manda Samanda Mateo Manda Bhagya Upadrita. So in this age of Kali Yuga, everybody has Prayana Alpaisha, very short lives. Kalav Asmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Mateo. Manda, they are lazy. And Sumanda Mateo means they are misguided. Even if they want to practice bhakti, they will get all types of bogus gurus and people that will misdirect them from the path of spiritual life. And Manda Bhagya, they are unlucky. Upadrita, they are always disturbed. Now, these are the symptoms of Kali Yuga. So, if we don't want to have these symptoms of Kali Yuga appear in our life, we should stay in association of Krishna, chanting the holy name of Krishna, reading Srimad Bhagavatam. These are the instructions from Krishna and the pure devotees. And deity worship is there. Stay in the association of devotees. Then we will not feel the bad ill effects of Kali Yuga. Like Yudhishthir Maharaj, Prabhupada says, protected from this age of Kali Yuga. And in the last verse, he is retiring. He says that, oh, Krishna has left the material world. Now let me also retire. All these now Kali Yuga, all these symptoms will progress as we move in the age of Kali Yuga. As we said, the 10,000 years are golden period, but we should also think about that. We don't want to come into a situation when the Kali Yuga has come in full force, right? When the Harinam Sankirtan is not going on, we don't want to come back. So let me use this life to go back to Krishna, make this life my last life, become serious, because ultimately, if we want our own happiness, our best interest, then go back home, back to God. And like one devotee was saying that, oh, Prabhupada, I want to return, come back again to distribute your books. And Prabhupada said, no, you should, what did he say? Better you go back home, back to God. And yeah. So ultimately, it's Krishna who will make that decision whether we go back home, back to God, or where we come. But we should make our best attempt. Okay, so I'll stop here.
I found it perfect.
Dharmo rakshiti rakshita. Correct. Correct. So we should be fully, peaceful that dharma will protect us wherever we are, even if the Kali Yuga is such bad symptoms are there, so much trouble is there, but we'll be protected because we are following Krishna's instruction. We are protecting dharma.
So, the hunter Jara, right? When I was giving the same last lecture, the lecture I heard, he was Wali in their previous life. Now you had mentioned this.
Brigumani?
So.
Correct. So purport in the purport Prabhupada mentioned as a Brigumani. We were reading, I
think the Vali is not authentic. It's not from authentic scripture that it's mentioned. And Vali understood that it was Lord Ram who killed me before he died. So he didn't want to come back as a revenge to Krishna, because they said that he wanted to take a revenge, right? Because Lord Ram.
But Lord Ram allowed him to come back. That's what
Correct. But I know that when he was about to die, he understood that it was Lord Ram and the mistake that he had committed, kidnapping the wife of Sugriva. So he died in a, satisfied with what Lord has done, correct. So yeah, that's not coming from authentic scripture.
Yeah, so that's why it is like even this from the ISKCON lecture only, right? So
Ah.
so
Oh well, purport of Prabhupada.
yeah,
Srimad Bhagavatam purport Prabhupada mentioned.
No, yeah. What there was something I just said about oh yeah, you said that in
Demigods were in different planets. Mm-hmm.
but we can also see that this Yuga, in this Yuga cycle only that the Father Yuga is third and then the Yuga is second.
Hmm.
But in general,
Other
the third
correct.
Dwapar
Correct.
So then when that happens with king, or if that goes with
Mhm.
how is it?
Yeah, and not in all yugas Krishna appears, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears also, right? So the demons and demigods.
And another thing I was that was he was the one who was making fun, right? I mean, he had stuffed his belly and he just asked. Sometimes we, make jokes with Vaishnavas, but it can be like a Vaishnava aparadh, right? Because if somebody takes it like that, so generally we sometimes joke with each other, and so I don't know how.
So that's acceptable.
No, so how much we should be.
No, that was the intent, right? That the joke was we really wanted to challenge the Brahmana to see, okay, now you're predicting, right? Now you predict. That was a bad intent, right? It was really a challenge. But when we joke amongst ourselves, like yesterday and day before yesterday, I was talking about to Hare Krishna, right? Like as youth and others, we joke about like the names, right, given by spiritual masters and all, right? Is it really? It's offensive, right? But it's not with the intent of like, okay, now I think there's no bad intent there. It was just like some casual. That's what I am thinking.
Because I've been bitten in this way when I joked, but then sometimes some people think like that not they don't like the joke, so
Yeah. So, yeah, that is also the, yeah, that's why it's the unfortunate thing, right? Like you think it is okay, it's a joke, but how others receive it and how others digest it, that's also different.
No, but like joking and also is like with those who you know well and other stuff, right? You will not joke with some new person whose home you are going to do the
So
project.
Samba had an intention like that. I don't know.
I think he wanted to challenge whether challenge their power.
Challenge their
whether
power.
they know.
They are predicting, okay, now you predict what baby I'm gonna have. So that's what.
So we have Kriti Mataji on YouTube commenting, this is a very nice class, Mataji, very important points you made. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.